So speaking of the storming of the Capitol, let's play this clip because this. If you thought that Tucker Carlson clip was crazy, this is a doozy. So Ali Alexander has been a longtime right-wing grifter. He has joined pretty much, or has been associated pretty much with every right-wing movement that sprung out of the Trump campaign, depending on how popular it was at the time. You know, he was all right guy at first, hanging out with Milo Yiannopoulos, and then he was buddies with Jacob Wall, and he went over to Minnesota to do that ridiculous documentary Jacob Wall did about Ilhan Omar, which Jacob Wall ended up getting in trouble for lying to the police. And this guy has just had his fingerprints on every right-wing grift for like the past 5 years, honestly. And of course, he was one of, if not the main organizer of the Stop the Steal event on January 6th that led to the storming of the Capitol. Now, he has been banned from a lot of major social media platforms since then. He has kept low because obviously he has a lot to answer for. And he obviously, people will probably want to talk to him for many court cases in terms of what happened and what went down. But he's been in hiding, but he just recently put out a new video with an update on his life. Let's see what Ali Alexander is up to.
In a lot of ways, I have no other choice but to announce that I'm building the future. And so I'm making strategic investments in tools that fight deplatforming and that create chaos on existing platforms. America's going to have a choice, and I promise you that, between going on to this dystopian future or fighting in what I'm calling the American sovereignty movement. And I'm going to get back and I'm going to do rallies again, starting in March. I'm going to have indoor gatherings in March in Michigan, in Arizona, in Georgia. We have to totally change the culture. And so I want you guys to know that I've been licking my wounds, but I've been plotting. I've been planning. I've been scheming, because we have to do away with this whole system. The free press is not free, and they're not the press. They need to be abolished. So I just want to let you guys know that one, a lot of people will end up writing in a couple months, Ali Alexander's comeback was great. But I want you to know that it doesn't feel like a comeback. I created Stop the Steal while still playing in their game. Now I'm totally unhooked from that system. And those who want to live free and not feel like you have to hide when you go to church that you're a Republican or a Trump voter, I'm going to create a society and a community and a culture and a language for those people. Winning could just be 10 million people creating a new megacity. Let's build our own city. Let's seriously build our own city. Let's have a backup city in South America. Let's all of us put 10% of all of our holdings, take it out of the U.S. system and put it overseas or put it in cryptocurrency. Are the big tech platforms welcoming me back? These people are evil, and we will make lists of them. And they will not be welcomed in this new society. They won't be welcomed on new platforms.
First of all, I just want to say major brand fail calling it a mega city and not a MAGA city. I mean, it was right there in front of you, buddy. What's going on? But anyway, I just want you to notice, like, everything he's complaining about, there's no policy he's talking about. There's nothing political there. The entire right-wing outrage, I mean, they fought for Donald Trump to stop the steal, but for what? They can't name a single policy that they fought for him for. They fought to reinstate him as president for. It's literally all culture to these guys. When I got banned from a bunch of major social media platforms, when the press reports on what we say and do, we have to change the culture so everyone is a conservative and that we take over the media because we're upset that we're not, the main stars in Hollywood movies or on television, and we're not getting I mean, buddy, I'm not getting any Hollywood deals either, and I'm not a conservative.
Well, once you start talking about policies, the cross-class alliance breaks down, right? Because these are policies that mainly benefit the capitalist class, specifically the petty bourgeoisie, the small business owners that are really the heart and soul of this movement, right? Wanting a lower minimum wage, wanting immigrants to, still be here and working for you, but to have their status be constantly in question and frightened. So yeah, if you talk about that, the working class people who are part of this alliance might realize, oh no, maybe this doesn't benefit us after all.
Right, absolutely. And then also a backup city in South America.
Tried that already.
Yeah,
that's simple. It's simple. That's not a big logistical challenge or anything.
Right. Well, besides the logistical challenge, I mean, maybe not take
Bolsonaro will hook you up. I mean,
a strategy from the Nazis, maybe.
Hey,
I mean.
it's dual power. They're doing dual power.
Right. Maybe they could find a place in where was Jonestown again? Maybe they could make their own Jonestown. Was that South America, South Africa, right?
Yeah.
Guyana.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Maybe
I gotta say, this is the first I've actually watched a video of this guy. It's funny to hear somebody talking about. I know it was important to stop the steal, but the level of grifter delusion where he really thinks he is at the center of the universe here. And I mean, obviously, what happened on the 6th is only going to play into that. But I've never paid attention to this guy before.
Yeah, if you just played it for me with my eyes closed, I'd be like, oh, Cernovich is doing it again, huh?
Well, this guy actually, there's a reason you probably aren't that familiar with him, and that's because he's been so successful at his grifting and going, and he hasn't got caught like other guys who got banned much earlier on from different platforms where they could do their grifting. The dude has constantly changed his name and backed off of this stuff. He originally went by Ali Akbar, and then once that name was tarnished, he went by Ali Alexander. I mean, this was a guy who had who had Jack Dorsey from Twitter following him. And if I recall correctly, Jack Dorsey had previously, a few years ago, considered this guy to be someone to go to for opinions about, conservative backlash on social media. This is a guy who has successfully sort of portrayed himself to people who have no political knowledge of right-wing media and culture whatsoever as a serious thinker in that world. And, he's just been successful at grifting, honestly. And that's why you probably haven't heard of him.
It just reminds me of the real difference between the far left and the far right when it comes to, quote unquote, liberal values like freedom of speech. I mean, not even quote unquote, that is a liberal value, right? And we are both trying to overthrow the liberal world order in one way or another, although I argue that the left is much more revolutionary than the right, because what they want is basically a deepening of the current order and the current hierarchies and for them to continue forever, right? But I don't go around complaining about being censored because, if I get kicked off of one of these big tech giants, I'd be like, you know what? Fair enough. We're constantly saying that we want to expropriate them, take away Jeff Bezos's money and send him to re-education camps. So I'm like, you know what? Fair enough. But these people don't believe in liberal values either, but they're still gonna whine about it. They're still gonna try and twist it around and say why it applies to them and not to anyone else. So you know what? They can screw off. I'm trying really hard not to swear.
Right. I mean, honestly, there's a lot to knock these platforms for. And if you're even someone who's against banning people on these platforms, I get that too. I honestly have a double opinion on it. I get both sides, honestly. But at the same time, it's honestly really easy to not get banned on these platforms. I mean, there are
fingers crossed.
There are plenty of people on the left who espouse their beliefs every single day on these platforms. I mean, we are literally on YouTube right now, Jamie, and you and I are literally here, Matt and Brendan, much further left talk here than Sam Seder even, and YouTube ain't kicking us off. I mean, it's pretty simple. Just don't outright threaten people. I mean, if literally threatening someone's life on a platform is what's gonna, is what your ideology is based on, then maybe you should replan that ideology, or at least how you carry it out. I mean,
yeah, no, I would never actually threaten someone's life on a platform. Any calls for violence I may have made are purely parody and satire and parody.